Hey there, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Yay, let's go. I will be here to do a live show tomorrow. I will be here to do a live show on Wednesday. So if you're still around doing what you normally do, most people think that, I guess everybody's off. No one's going to be listening. No, there's still a lot of people who have to do their jobs. Cops, firefighters, nurses, radio hosts, all the important people in society have to work on holidays. We don't get days off. Someone's got to talk in this microphone or society falls apart. Just kidding. But yeah, I'll still be here. So if you're still doing your thing, come join me. I'll still be doing my thing. Another post-it note I need to read here is people are still bugging me about doing a meetup in Fort Worth. I do not have a place. We don't have one bar. We don't have one event space in the entirety of Texas. Is what, third, fourth largest city now? No. I think it passed Austin. It's like third. It's like Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, and Fort Worth. Anyway, I'm not going to have it at a bar unless it is owned or managed by a James Show listener. That's my only criteria. Email me, james@wbap.com. All right, now my next guest coming back on the James Show, Michelle Saenz Rodriguez. She's an immigration attorney. And I am hearing a lot of fear about the mass deportation talks, but if you're worried about a mass deportation effort, then maybe you should be. Am I being too abrasive there, Michelle?
Well, I mean, we hear the talk, and everything on TV is telling us that they're making plans, and so I guess we're going to have to wait and see what happens on January 20th. But there's definitely a lot of fear out there. It's happening.
Okay, so the first stage that I think everyone is expecting is the criminals and people who already have deportation orders. They're going to go after them first. The part where I think society has a little gray area in the debate is once we get past that, what are we going to do? Workplace raids? Are we just going to start going through people's debit card purchases? I mean, it's that next murky phase that I think gives people some debate.
Well, I think once Washington gets settled and Congress gets to work, if they can come up with some common sense approaches to immigration, I mean, we can all agree the system's broken. And so I think we all agree on the criminals and the terrorists and fixing the border. So if we can get past that, then we can start looking at the humanitarian side of things and fixing the system to where it works for legal migration in this country. Well, and I think that's what people want.
I'm interested to see the public appetite for when if workplace raids start happening, because I've had to report on workplace raids in my radio career. Like 5 years ago, some meat packing plant got raided by ICE and a whole bunch of people got carted off. And I always felt the enforcement of it was so scarce and like so rare that it almost sounded corrupt. Like, what, did he not pay off his local politician in time, or was the bribe envelope a little too light this quarter? It always felt a little suspicious.
Well, I think what happens when we see work site enforcement is that because of the way the operation works, typically, and I'm talking historically, when we see work site enforcement, is they come in and everybody is, for lack of a better term, carded, right? So they have to take the whole factory and they have to look at everybody's status. So everybody is caught up in this enforcement effort. And so it ends up causing a big ruckus and disruption within the worksite operation. And normally when that happens, they have already done a pre-search of documentation. And so they know who they're looking for because they've already inspected all of their employment documents. And so the employer, in many cases, knows it's about to happen. Well, go ahead.
I was going to say the other debate that I see that has some merit to it is we're getting into the nuance here of the discussion with the H-1B visas. Now, this is for supposedly skilled labor, and as I understand it, and you probably know more about it than I do, this is for companies who say, well, we just can't find this specific skill in the talent pool where we're at, so we're going to have to import it. Is that a decent, although reductive, understanding of it?
It's somewhat. So what happens is these are very specific job that exist within companies. And when they put out their listings, they cannot find an applicant pool that can fill those listings. And many of those jobs are filled by graduating college students, because although they say it's foreign talent, it's normally talent that is already within the United States here legally on a non-immigrant visa, and they are converting those visas. You will see a student coming in and then converting from an F1 visa, which is a student visa, graduating maybe on some sort of training visa, and then converting that to a longer-term H-1B visa, because then now that they've gotten their training or diploma, then they can go into, let's say, the STEM industry, right? Technology, engineering. And that's why you see such a high demand for the H-1B visa.
Right. And then the criticism to that is, sure, that's how it's billed, but it's been expanded and overused so much. It's just a thin excuse that's always granted in order to import cheap labor to replace more expensive locals. The locals are here. We're just too expensive.
So actually, H-1Bs, the going rate, the actual labor rate, those jobs are regulated by the Department of Labor, and the incoming rate, those rates are really high. So those visas are not about money. It's not about that is definitely not cheap labor.
Well, here in Dallas, we have the Dallas Express reported this morning that the Dallas Morning News appears to be using H-1B visa labor. And some of these jobs are not very, the hard skills to learn. It's not a high skill job, and they don't pay very much. Some of these down to like $44,000 a year. So it sounds like they're making the case here in the Dallas Express. I'm not saying this because I really haven't read enough to have a strong opinion on it. They're saying this is a clear just undercutting of locals, because there are other people in the metropolitan area of 7 million that can do this job, just not for that cheap.
Well, so again, the Department of Labor regulates the wages part of it. And there may be some confusion, which really exists in immigration law, about what a non-immigrant employment-based visa means versus an immigrant employment-based visa, because there's so many different categories. We've got specialized skills. We've got skills that do not require a degree at all, which seems to cause some confusion, because we have all levels of skilled jobs that people can immigrate under. And so when you're talking about an H-1B, those are very specific jobs. And there's this lottery system, and there's only 65,000 of those visas available per year. And like 200,000 people apply for a very small number of visas.
Well, I'm trying to learn more about this.
It's really complicated. It's a really complicated formula that immigration has created for itself, and it's part of the dysfunction of the bigger system. It's just that it's not built to do what it's supposed to do.
I feel like once we work this out, this is where some of our answers are going to be. This is where we're going to find, happiness for both Team Red and Team Blue if we can ensure that this is a system that works and isn't being abused, and we lock down the border, and there's some deportations that are within reason. And I don't know, we got a long ways to go, but I think we're getting there. I appreciate your help in this matter. Where do they find your work as an immigration attorney outside of WBAP?
We are at www.sralawonline.com in Dallas, Texas.
All right, sralaw.com. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Michelle Saenz Rodriguez, immigration attorney, sralaw.com. All right, coming up next, the debate that's also raging is if we do the mass deportations, will that hurt our economy? And, what's your definition of hurt the economy? Yeah, the food at the restaurants is probably going to go up a little bit. Some of these other services, like construction sites and whatnot, that price might go up a little bit. Will it hurt our economy? Will it just change our economy, but for the better? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. I agree halfway with the people who say mass deportations will wreck the economy. Well, they'll wreck it for some people. Mass deportations are not going to be good for the people who get deported. Mass deportations are going to be pretty rough for the people who have been employing them all this time. They're going to have to reconstitute their workforce, probably at a higher cost. Yeah, it's going to be tough for them. It should be tough for them. That doesn't break my heart at all. If you've been, I hate to use the term exploiting illegal immigrants for their cheap labor, because if you own a restaurant, that's kind of what you have to do just because everyone else is doing it and you got to keep up. Same thing with you people in construction and lawn care and so many places where you see illegals working in large numbers. Some of them are definitely exploiting them. Some of them are just, that's the nature of the business because everyone's doing it. But there's an argument to be made. And I hear some of my lefty friends, they all of a sudden become economists real quick. Say, well, if you do that, then if they have to replace those people with Native Americans, not Native Americans, but Native, Americans, it'll cost them more. And so then when you go out to eat, the prices of your food are going to go up. The price of your head of lettuce is going to be more expensive because you're going to have to pay more for the labor to pick it. The price to get your lawn mowed and all this other stuff is going to go up. Okay, a couple of observations to that. Yes, true. It probably will go up. But also, I'd like to point out that you're okay with exploiting cheap labor until it's inconvenient for you. Is that how that works? Is that the premise I'm supposed to live by? But also, it helps the poorest among us in the fact that if someone loses their job or if they get laid off or if they go into an industry that's, dying off. And so even when they get fired, there's not a job that they can go replace it with. Like radio is one of those. But like if you were a guy 20 years ago that was developing film at the 1 hour photo lab for a living, there's not going to be a job for you in 10 years or so. Your skills are no longer needed in the marketplace. And that's unfortunate. But you'll be able to go to the nearest restaurant and get a job in the back of the house making, 20-30% more than you would have before the mass deportations. Ooh, that sounds better. Nina Turner, this woman in Congress, and she's kind of an adjunct member of the squad. She gets included in some of the photos, but she's not young and somewhat pretty, so she's not considered one of the normal members. Anyway, she was making the case that yes, if you're a cashier working at Target, you should be able to make enough to afford your rent and grocery and all your bills and everything. Well, you would be closer to that if the rising tide lifts all boats after mass deportations. If labor becomes so scarce, if people are getting sucked away in these lower skilled or unskilled competitive jobs, then cashiers will make more. Now, in some ways, that'll mean more self-checkouts. But for the people that stay, higher salary. You people want to raise the minimum wage so the people who work at the least skilled jobs make more money. There's another way you can allow for the people to make more money at the least skilled jobs. Remove 11 million people that are competing for those jobs. I know, real big brain buster there. So it is going to cost more to go buy your produce. It is going to cost more to get your lawn mowed or your pool cleaned or go to a restaurant. But also, the lowest among us are going to have more to spend. The guys that are working in the back of the house will have more to spend. They'll be able to buy more things. Maybe not just a old car, but a new car or a nicer car. Or instead of having just one car and him and the wife carpool, they get two cars. And there will be a whole lot more money swimming around at the bottom of the economic pool. You understand what happens there? If they have to pay more, the bottom people make more. And oh my goodness, you have what? Shrinking income inequality. And we're told that's one of the most important things out there to judge an economic system. Mass deportations would have a great effect. If you're concerned about such things, I don't really lose sleep over income inequality, because that's just a demonization of rich people in practice. But that's saying the people who do talk about such things, here you go. You say you're for raising the minimum wage, so it'll help the unskilled laborers out there make more money. Mass deportations will do that without a new government edict, without a new law, without a new restriction on the freedom to make a contract the way they see fit between an employer and an employee. You're accomplishing the same thing just by enforcing our immigration laws. Are you still against it? Isn't that interesting? It would change our economy, no doubt. And for some people, it would not be for the better. But I firmly, crystal clear believe that mass deportations will change this economy more for the better than for the worst. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. What do you think? Coming up next, we're going to talk to Lee Richardson from the Brain Performance Center. How much time do you spend on your screens per day? If I give myself an honest accounting, I'm up to about 8 hours a day myself where I'm staring at a screen, whether it's at work or when I'm talking on the radio show or editing audio or staring at my phone, watching Netflix. What are you up to? And is it too much? That's next on The James Show. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Well, hey there, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to The James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Yay, let's go. Happy New Year's Eve. I will be here doing live shows tomorrow and on New Year's Day. So if you're just doing your regular old schedule and you want to check out the radio show, then you will be blessed with new live shows. Not reruns, not a fill-in. I jealously guard this seat. One of the discussions we've been having on the show today is talking about it's a great debate to have that's happening online on the economic effects of mass deportation. Now, you may have seen this guy on TV already, Jose Villalobos. He is the mayor of McAllen, Texas, and he is making the case that mass deportations will create serious issues for America's economy. Now, welcome to the show for the first time on the James Show here in Dallas, Jose. But I can see your point for a place like McAllen, where a giant chunk of your economy is based on illegals. But why do you feel this would, collapse the economy in like Idaho?
See, but actually that's incorrect. A lot of our economy is not based on illegals. As a matter of fact, down here south, we don't have the issue. The issue is more in the north, where a lot of the individuals go and work. But a lot of what happens here in South Texas is trade. And trade passes through McAllen, through the Hidalgo County area. And we're talking in the billions and billions of dollars. We really don't have an issue with immigrants, because they really do not necessarily want to stay here. They go up to Houston, Dallas, New York, Chicago. But when we get into the issue of mass deportation, it depends. What are we talking about? If we're talking about getting rid of people that have committed crimes and everything, that is fine. However, when you start talking about numbers that are people that are productive, that are good, that can help our economy, then we start having issues. And that's what we're talking about. We know that, for example, countries in the Belt States, a lot of people work there that may not possibly be here or are immigrants. If you were to get rid of that in a big amount, it would stifle our economy. I always say, look, sometimes you talk about 10 million people. You get rid of 10 million people in the U.S. economy, and you're creating a very big deficit. 10 million less meals, 10 million less of everything. We need good, productive people, whether they're residents or not. If they're immigrants and if they can be productive and they're law-abiding, good. If they're not, then yeah, let's support them. So that's what we're talking about.
So I understand, like, having 10 million fewer customers for the business, there's a smaller demand for the businesses that are left here. But for the people who would be filling those jobs that are vacated by the mass deportation, life would get significantly better for them.
And you would think that, but the problem we have is the work ethic of the American people is not what it used to be. I myself used to work in the fields when I was a kid. My kids will no way in hell will do that. And that's the problem we have. A lot of people won't do that anymore. So we do need people, but we need people that come the legal way, and that is the issue. We need people. The work ethic of the American people is not what it used to be. I wish it were, but it isn't. So, yeah, we do need people. We do need people, but we need them here to come here lawfully, to come and produce for us, for our economy, send money back to their families, and do it the right way. But just to deport people for the sake of deporting is not a good thing.
Well, look, I'll agree with that the work ethic of some Americans has some shortcomings, but to put all Americans in that group, I don't think that's fair. I don't think that there's no such thing as an American with a work ethic that would be willing to pick crops.
No, and that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that a lot of the positions that are filled by a lot of the immigrants, if we could fill them with U.S. people, that'd be fantastic. However, I think that a lot of the people, for example, in the poultry industry and other industries, in the farming industries, a lot of people don't want to fill them. And if we can fill them with other people from outside of our country and they can do it lawfully, then let's do it. Otherwise, if they're here illegally, get them out. Get them out. If it's not good people that are productive, we get them out. But we do need to fix up back in the days, they used to have what was called the Bracero program, and they had, when they'd bring people in and they'd work and they'd leave and they'd send money back and they'd come back, everything was legal. The problem we have now is people that are coming from not through the ports of entry, but outside of the ports of entry illegally. We don't know who they are sometimes. We don't know what their intentions are. And those are the ones that we really shouldn't be here. But if it can be done lawfully, we should.
Would you be okay if for every illegal that we deported, we replaced them with a legal immigrant?
If our country needed them, yes.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like there would be less of an economic convulsion that way because there would still be the same demand. Because I think you'd be surprised how many Americans, even on Team Red, would be in favor of that. Because if we have to deport 11 million, isn't there 11 million immigrants on the waiting list to get here legally? Let's just trade a 1-for-1 here. We can keep the aggregate demand for our economy and GDP, probably improve on it, better, and then everything will be legal. And we won't have to let people skirt the law.
That is exactly the case. That's exactly what I'm saying. If we can do it lawfully, if they can come in and we know who they are. But the biggest problem is outside of the ports of entry, and even the asylum seekers. Sometimes I'm in a position where I say, look, when you come and answer a few questions and then you're entitled to asylum, that's not correct either. Because I know that a lot of times they come in and after a certain point in time, they're never going to show up. So I'm talking about reform the system, make it where we get people, we know where they are, and we know who they are and what they're going to be able to do and produce. If they're good, law-abiding citizens, they can come. They don't have to be citizens. They can come work and be productive for our country and theirs. And we need it, and we know we need it. And sometimes I say that the work ethic is not what it is. Yeah, we have a lot of good people here in the United States, but we also have a lot of people that don't have the work ethic we used to.
Jose, what was that parade I saw on TV this weekend? I was just walking by my parents' TV. I was at their house, and there was a parade, and it had an obviously Texas theme. I'm like, oh, so this is a Texas parade. And then there was a float that said RGV. I'm like, okay, Rio Grande Valley. That's starting to narrow it down. And then it showed the middle of the football field in the stadium, and it was McAllen. What was y'all's big parade that was on TV that we saw?
Oh, my
God. We watched this all over the state.
Actually, it's all around the country. It's one of the biggest parades and most successful parades in the whole country. We've won award after award. This is our 11th annual McAllen Christmas parade. It is amazing, and it has been very successful. And it's throughout, not just here and throughout the United States, but throughout Mexico and different countries. And we're very proud of it. So I welcome you to come hopefully next year.
That was really cool. I like the idea of Texas having its own Macy's, but the Christmas version parade. We can just take that space over. There's not a big Christmas parade nationally speaking, so why not let it be one in McAllen, Texas? That sounds good.
No, it's the 11th annual, and it's a great parade. It's a fantastic parade. We keep on inviting people, and of course, our area is not as big as other areas, but we still get 250,000 people or more to come to our parade.
All right. Well, Jose Villalobos, if there's anything going on at the border in McAllen that you want the people of North Texas to know about, give me a call back on the James Show, sir.
Hey, anytime. Give me a call. I'd love to be back on.
All right. Thank you very much. This is Jose Villalobos, mayor of McAllen, on the James Show, giving you a firsthand update from the border. Your thoughts? 800-288-9227. I see some hot opinions already on hold. That's fine. I kind of expected that. Your thoughts on the mayor's take on mass deportation? I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there. Welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. If you know someone who owns a bar or runs a bar in the Fort Worth area and they listen to the James Show, please let me know. I'm looking for a place to have an event, a listener meetup. I promised in January, and hopefully that'll happen. But I got to find a place first. Are you going to help me with that? 800-288-9227. But the discussion you've just walked in on is I like this discussion. This feels like a worthy thing to discuss. I feel like it's happening at a high level. There's no insulting. No one's calling anybody racist or sexist or bigot. We're not arguing over something dumb like where people get to go to the bathroom. This is a good one. This has an effect on all of us. Illegal immigration. Will mass deportations have an overall negative effect on our economy? I say no. There will definitely be some changes, some convulsions. It'll be tough for some people, but it'll be better for more people than it is bad. This is Philip and Temple. You're on WBAP. What do you think, Phil?
Thank you. I was going to say, instead of having two programs or maybe one under a big umbrella, we have something called mass blow things out of proportion. Just mass criminal deportation, mass foreign criminal deportation, and then illegal alien evaluation. So the illegal alien evaluation was the one for your previous caller said, well, we have plenty of hardworking people here, contributing. Okay, well, we'll evaluate them, make sure they are working and they're good, and then they can stay because they have been here contributing.
Well,
I need to do the right thing.
I kind of like my one-for-one swap thing. Then the racism argument goes down the tubes, and the economic argument goes down the tubes. Well, we have some hardworking illegals here. Okay, well, let's trade them out for a hardworking legal person that's waiting in line and doing the right thing and taking the test and learning English and paying the fines and doing the paperwork.
Oh, sure. Keep it in terms of keeping balance in the system, since that's what they're making the issue about. That's great, because I lived over in Europe and Sweden for about 20 years, and I've always noticed that all of our people, they're not bringing over people. You don't see what's the name of that program, H-1B visas. It's not for Ukrainians. It's not for Estonians. It's not for Germans. All the time. Usually it's for Middle Eastern and Indian countries and things like that. And so that program right there, that's kind of biased in some way, but we should just open up and do the one-for-one swap. That's a good way that you were suggesting for the people that were for immigration. Just let one go when one comes in, and then just focus on. I mean, what's the problem? Just as we scoop up people, we don't have to even do mass. How are they going to find the criminals if they don't? If they're not,
well, even if
they don't know where they are, so it's
exactly
just, arrest them. Or,
and even if we do need these people, why does it have to be these people? Why can't we swap them out for someone who's doing it legally? Now you're not arguing for illegal immigration. You don't support illegal immigration anymore. Now the person, not you, but the people we argue against, should just be asking for more people to be legally let in every year, and we shut down the border because once we shut down the border, so many of these other bad side effects go away. Thank you, Philip. I'm going to go to Diane in Plano. You're on WBAP. What do you think?
Diane, sir, what the mayor said, Van Lobos, and what your last caller said, hard work, they're still criminals. They came running in the middle of the night. They're still working without papers. They're criminals.
Agreed.
Oh, I'm sure they're nice. They're nice criminals.
A lot of them are.
We need to get, but they're still criminals. You are working illegally. Are you, these guys are selling juice all Saturday and Sunday. Are you paying your taxes on that juice that you're selling? It's a criminal. You're criminals. Send them all back, and then we'll figure it out.
Yeah, and so that's a funny wrench to throw in the argument. Well, we just need to deport the ones that are criminals. Well, according to Diane, and she's right, they're all criminals. So you're not really narrowing it down very much. But you know what they mean? They mean people who've committed additional crimes besides breaking our immigration laws. But yeah, they are all criminals. And look, I hear a little sympathy in your voice, they're probably nice people. Most of them are probably nice people. And I got to think, if I was on the border and, I lived in a terrible country, I might try that out to give my kids a better shot too. I don't blame them. I don't hate them. I totally understand what they're doing. It's still wrong. And go get back in line. Right, Diane?
James, I married an immigrant, and we followed the system. He now is an American citizen, and he said, "Do you think I'm a criminal?" Yes, and all your family are. It's criminal activity. Yes, honey.
Where's he from?
You all fixed. He's from Veracruz, Mexico.
Okay, so I bet you he has some strong opinions on this too.
Oh, yeah, we go at it.
What does he say?
We go at it. Well, they don't consider themselves criminals. You're criminal. Baby, you came in the middle of the night.
What's so hard about admitting that you're a criminal?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't make you a bad person. It just means you had to run afoul of the law to go from a bad country to a better country. Or, Mexico's not even a bad country on the global standards. It's like the 11th richest country in the world, just compared to us. Mm-hmm. It's a step down, but it's actually not that bad actually when you go down there. All right. Well, thank you. I'm going to try and squeeze in one more. Diane, thank you for sharing.
All right.
Larry in Fort Worth, you're next up on WBAP. What do you think about mass deportations and criminals and the economy and all that good stuff?
Well, my argument was with that gentleman that you interviewed a minute ago, saying that Americans, they're not going to do these jobs. And one of the biggest problems is these people are coming over here, and they're doing the jobs for like half price, half of what it should be paid. And there's plenty of examples out there. And it's not necessarily like, a lot of the corporations, stuff like that. It's more like your contractors, You can look at housing, for instance, roofing, framing.
Yeah,
those are the jobs all these people are coming over here and getting. And Americans, like your custom home builders and stuff, they're not around anymore. They can't compete with the prices that are getting.
Well, they either have to play ball and hire illegals, or they get undercut by the people that do.
100%.
Yeah.
And I come from the trucking industry, and it's the same thing there with mechanics. You go out, and those guys are coming over here, and they want cash money for the repairs that they do, and they're doing it for sometimes a third of the price of what everybody else is doing it. And it's either get on board or get out of business. And they're making it tough for the independents, the business owners, small business owners. That's who's getting affected by this the most.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a job Americans won't do. Just the pay got too low. They won't do it for that price. And I've seen it with my own eyes. Just drive north about 12 hours to where you're in like Nebraska or Kansas or South Dakota or whatever. Guess who's in the back of the house of every restaurant? Guess who's mowing all the lawns? Guess who's stapling the shingles on all the roofs? It's Americans. Legal, natural-born American citizens. Thank you very much, Larry in Fort Worth. 800-288-9227 if you have any comments left on that conversation, because coming up next, I'm giving away tickets to see the Goo Goo Dolls with Dead or Alive. And in honor of President Jimmy Carter passing away, this is going to be the Carter edition of Dead or Alive. All of the contestant names, celebrity names, are going to have Carter in them for the episode of Dead or Alive. If you are interested in seeing Goo Goo Dolls, Dickies Arena at Fort Worth, July 16th, I know that's a little ahead of schedule, like 7 months from now, go ahead and call in, 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. I got to give them away to somebody, so might as well be you. I'm James Parker. Dead or Alive coming up next on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Welcome to the big show. There's some protesting Starbucks workers. I doubt they're out there today because this story's from a couple days ago. But about 24 Starbucks employees, you can see a picture of them on WFAA.com. And it says they're picketing outside a Denton location as part of a nationwide strike by baristas asking for higher wages. So why now? Well, they say they came out to ask for higher wages because their CEO just got a raise, a new historic $113 million pay deal. Oh, well, I'm down here making lattes and cleaning the toilets. I should have more money too, really. So this the strike at this location was one of more than a dozen across the country by Workers United Partner. So it's the unions trying to push this. They can't really do as much here as they can in other places because our laws are not so strangling to business owners. But here's a quote from what's reported to be a 5-year Starbucks barista from here in Texas. Her name's Fatima. She says, "Nobody wants to strike. It's a last resort. But Starbucks has broken its promise to thousands of baristas and left us with no choice. In a year when Starbucks invested so many millions in top executive talent, it has failed to present the baristas who make its company run with a viable economic proposal and resolve the pending unfair labor practices. This is just the beginning. We will do whatever it takes to get the company to honor the commitment it made to us in February." Now, I think back to the beginning of the hour when I talked to the mayor of McAllen down there at the toe of Texas. And he said there's a lot of Americans who just don't have the work ethic and the drive that they used to. I think he's talking about these people. He's not talking about me and you and our kids. He's talking about these people. My question is, why? Who taught you this? What school of economic thought says if you're not happy with your wages, then go make a sign and stand out on the lawn and try and drive customers away by telling people, the public, what a horrible guy your employer is? This is how you get ahead in the world? Who taught you that? See, I don't think anybody taught them that. I think the union's coming in, and look what happens. The union just made it on WFAA.com. The union is all over the news in all the places where this is happening. You have a sympathetic media. It's like, oh, look, these poor workers are being exploited by their evil capitalist corporation. Isn't this sad? Isn't there a flaw in the system? Don't we need to make some legislative changes to fix it? This is not fair. Look, it's heartwarming, heartstring pulling. I mean, for some people, it doesn't work on me because I see right through it. But now they get all kinds of free publicity. They get all kinds of free attention. And for the mindless automatons out there, the people who are still wearing masks alone in their cars, they see the news and they're like, oh, well, we probably do something about this. If it's on WFAA, it's probably true. Or if it's on the Dallas Morning News, it's probably true. Here's the truth. If you don't like your pay, you can ask for a raise for yourself. If you don't get it, look for another job. If you find a job that pays you more money, then you take it. If you can't find another job that pays you more, then you're getting a fair wage at Starbucks or wherever your current employment is. You're not being underpaid. If you can't go out in the market and go get a higher price for your exact same skill set, then you're not being underpaid. You're being adequately paid. Hell, you might be overpaid. You know how many people can do your job? And not trying to be overly sympathetic here is, I worked at a cafe for a couple of years. And I know how to make all those foo-foo coffee drinks. I can foam some milk. I can foam skim milk. I can foam soy milk. Man, that's so hard. Oh, I can do it. I can make chai lattes. I can make all that. And it was actually shocked me. I loved the job. If being a barista paid six figures, I would still do it now. I was good at it. I liked it. I liked the people that would come in and have a chat with you. I liked having regulars. I liked the smell of it. Everyone's in a good mood. No one's ticked off when they're getting fancy coffee, but it just didn't pay enough. So what did I do? That was my side job. When I was working in radio during the day, I would go to a restaurant up in kind of Addison, far north Dallas. Still there, Dream Cafe. Y'all know that one? And I would wait tables and make foo-foo coffee, and it was good. And it wasn't meant to pay the bills. It wasn't meant for me to have a family of four living in a single family house with my own little quarter acre of a yard. No, that was a job because I was just trying to scramble to get whatever else I could get for a little bit of income on top of my day job. That's another thing you need to tell these people. If this job isn't cutting it, either get a new job, and if you can't find another job that pays better, get a second job. That sounds like a lot of work, doesn't it? It is. It is. I didn't say it was going to be easy. You're not guaranteed an easy life, but this is not supposed to be, for the rest of your life. Whatever job you get when you're a 22-year-old barista, you're not supposed to have this for the rest of your life. This isn't supposed to be a living wage. This isn't supposed to be the pinnacle of your achievements. I believe you're a sentient human being with a set of skills that can be developed if they don't already exist. And you can do a lot more with your life than stirring together a chai latte. I mean, even if you wanted to slow roll it, you could at least be the manager. You at least maybe work yourself up to being a general manager, maybe save up a little money and get your own store. That's a dream. This is not a dream come true. You should have higher aspirations for yourself than saying, well, I'm not happy with my pay here, but I can't get anything better. I never expect to get anything better, so I'm going to have to go throw a hissy fit in the yard until I get more money. There is not any sound economic argument to be made for this sort of wage pricing system. How do you get ahead in the world then? By throwing big hissy fits? No, that's not how it works. You get ahead in the world by taking another job, by improving your skill set. You don't have a skill set? Go to night school. Look up skills on YouTube. There's all kinds of free stuff that you can learn online. You can learn how to run a soundboard. You can learn how to edit audio. You can do what Garrett's doing. Work up, do what I'm doing. But if you're not happy with your position in life at Starbucks, don't fret that this is as far as you're going to go. You got a lot of life to live. There's a lot of opportunity out there, and it does not end with your ability to be a barista. This is not how you get ahead in the world. But there's so many people who not only do this, not only participate in protests, but most people don't, but they're sympathetic to it. That's wrong too. I'm sorry you're not happy with your wages. Most people aren't. If you go survey workers out there, I bet you 99% of them will say they deserve to make more money. But having a hissy fit on the lawn is not how you do it. Whoever taught you to do that, who's ever talking you into do that, they're exploiting you. You're being used. You're being a useful idiot. Grow out of it. You'll like your life better when you do. I'm James Parker. This has been The James Show. If you need more, I'm about to step aside and hand it over to Mark Levin. We have the podcast going on at WBAP.com, the WBAP app, and where you're already listening to podcasts. So go find it, download it, subscribe, share it, tell a friend, learn it, love it, live it. I'm James Parker. It's been The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.